go. Second skip, second skip. Second skip coming in. Starboard side, starboard side.
I can't believe I haven't talked about this in previous reviews, but this week I was reminded of it in my research. How's this for an awesome, original philosophy of use? Pirate rifle. That's right. Dude is using the rifle on the bottom as his onboard pirate rifle. Perhaps better said, anti-pirate rifle. Now, I don't know if dude is sailing around the world, Lake Superior, Lake Havasu, Arizona, off the coast of Louisiana in a shrimp boat. He didn't say. He did say he loves the gun as his pirate rifle. The gun, of course, is the excellent FNAR, and welcome to the detailed, comprehensive Nutnfancy tabletop review. By the way, I call the rifle the FNAR. Seems to roll off the tongue a little bit better than FNAR. And I would like to see how that scene goes down, by the way, wouldn't you? It would make for a great movie scene. Here come the pirates on their vessel of whatever sort, heavily armed, barreling towards the good guy, armed with his FNAR. He comes across the bullhorn in their own language, says, "Do not approach, you will be fired upon." They start sailing rounds his way, and out come 21 rounds of 7.62 by 51, saying otherwise. That perhaps, just perhaps today, you will not rape my wife, take my vessel, rob me, kill me, strand me out in the middle of the ocean. Not today. Chalk one up for the good guys. Pirate rifle. What a great POU, man. Kudos, dude. Kudos. We got lots of cool stuff to talk about this rifle, and it's mostly going to be good. I will proclaim right now this is a Hall of Fame sapper in the Nutnfancy project. Yeah, semi-automatic precision rifle sitting there on the table, actually two of them. FNAR on the bottom and the excellent, superb Hall of Famer, the M1A. That's a loaded version, reviewed here in TMP a while back. It's a great comparison contrast in this tabletop review. Mostly, I'm going to say good things about the FNAR. There are some bad things that I have to say, because when you dial into TMP, you get entertainment and true information, for sure. We have been testing the FNAR for about 4 months now. Several excursions under our belts in all kinds of weather. This will probably be the most comprehensive review in the world on the type. It is, however, just one data point. That's it. And there is a lot of good information on the rifle out there already. And I think it's a really sold rifle.
600 yards.
It should be more popular than it is, and who knows, maybe this video will help. We talked about maybe my current favorite philosophy of use for a sapper rifle, and that is pirate rifle. And incidentally, I love that application for two distinct reasons. One I've already alluded to. The good guy's going to win. Okay, perhaps, because he is heavily armed and smartly armed. Evil will not triumph that day over dude who's got his FNAR, because it's probably going to dominate what other rifle bad guys brought to the fight. Okay, and that leads us to the second reason I love that philosophy of use. Is it is a and extremely intelligent application of the weapon system. Usually for shipboard rifles, or I shouldn't say rifles, but weapons, we talk a lot about shotguns. I shouldn't say we. I've never liked that option because it's a close range option. I want standoff capability aboard the ship. Again, leading to my disbelief I haven't included this POU before, because it is a realistic one. You know, all the legalities aside, you know, I don't know what waters you're sailing in, whether the FNAR would be legal or not. That's up to you to decide. Or if you just decide to carry it regardless, that's up to you. But if and when a fight breaks out on the high seas and pirates decide, hey, like I said, rape, stealing, murder are going to happen today, you've got a hard-hitting rifle that says otherwise. I think it blows away a shotgun because it has standoff capability. I think it blows away a 5.56 option, even a 7.62 39 option. Harder hitting. You can take out an engine with it. You don't have to, you know, put someone down with it, disable the vessel, and then flee. I think you can do it with this rifle, which leads us to one I've kind of alluded to as well, and that is a hard-hitting rifle. Now, out in the desert, I shoot frequently with 5.56 rifles. Go reference my concept SPR video. I talk a lot about the philosophy on that caliber. I have my own take on it. I don't know if I really follow any school of thought. It's just from my own shooting. I pretty much think of a 5.56 223 as a pea shooter. It pretty much is. It's underpowered beyond 300 meters in my book. I mean, just from hearing how it hits the steel, how it has to dope it in the wind, it does not inspire confidence in me. The 7.62 by 51 308 does. I still think of that as a medium power round, not super hard hitting, but in comparison to a lot of other options, it is hard hitting. The 308. That's a distinct philosophy of use. And then, like I've said before, I think I covered it with the M1A review, right? Police sharpshooter. Great option. Great option. When we talk about ergonomics, the shooting characteristics of the FNAR, fabulous.
Is that a miss?
Actually, better than the M1A. Definitely. I've shot both a lot at this point, and it shoots smoother. I wouldn't say faster. Let's just say smoother than the M1A. Tactical competition rifle. Yeah, I think it could step up to the plate with that. And for you guys who perhaps are not familiar with that, that's saying something. Because you show up to a precision rifle shoot and maybe during the 2 days course of fire, you put down range. I don't really know. It depends on the course, but maybe up to 300 rounds, 500 rounds. If it was a big course, maybe it's longer than just 2 days. That's taxing the weapon system, the rifle, the FNAR. I think it could withstand that. And it's definitely, as you will see, accurate enough for that philosophy of use. And I think most people will use it, like I always say, recreationally. Since it is so smooth and fast, it is a fun gun to shoot.
Impressive.
Prepare to go through some ammo with your FNAR. Whether you're repelling pirates, arg, or you're just shooting for fun, bring along a bucket of 308. Don't say you weren't warned. How about a WROL rifle, Nutton? Well, I'm going to go back what I said on other Sapper reviews like the M1A, DPMS. Probably not, because their SAWC is premier in my consideration. I'd rather have more ammunition. I'm foot powered. I'm limited in my abilities, very limited. I don't know if a 308 battle rifle, if we were going to call it that, is the best choice. In that philosophy of use, I'm going to take some reduced power of the round and go with a 5.56. Maybe a 7.62 39, maybe an SGL 31, something like that. We discussed that before, and I think that makes sense. Yeah. That's a smart application. You know, well, as a primary rifle, I'm going to use an 11-pound 308 battle rifle. Roger that. You'll hike a mile, and then you're going to start pitching stuff because you just won't be able to port it. If you're vehicle capable, then perhaps. I wouldn't count on it, though. How about hunting? Here's another distinct and very funny philosophy of use. I've never said this one before. I don't think I have. Maybe I have. I mean, I've been doing this so long, I can't remember. I will say yes to the hunting gun. You'll have to equip it with the 5-round magazine the FN offers. It's actually a 10-rounder that's blocked. yeah, you could totally use it as a hunting gun. I'd personally rather go with something lighter, a lighter bolt action gun as I climb the mountains where I'm at, where I hunt. If it's flatter where you're at, absolutely bring your FNAR. Impress your friends at camp. I think it'll perform great. But the new philosophy of use, as I was going to say, carp gun. Yeah, I don't know if I told you guys this. When I was growing up in high school, I used to go out to my friend's dairy farm, and the fields from the Choccolocco Creek in Alabama, where I went to high school, would flood. And we would pull his grandfather's tractor out, sit on the hood of that tractor, and shoot carp with 10-22 Rugers and also 30-30s. And these carp would come up to spawn. By the way, freaking hate carp. I hate them. They are so damaging to game fish. Yeah, kill as many as you can. I say jihad. Carp jihad. And the favorite gun we had was a 30-30, because when you connected with a carp with a 30-30, off comes this huge chunk of meat. And those things are like tanks. They just keep on going. You'd have to sometimes pop a couple rounds in them. I think the FNAR would just really come into its own. Carp rifle. You need, obviously, certain circumstances where that would be smart. Watch for those ricochets off the water and wherever it's legal, but I'll just throw that out. Carp rifle. And that's all I'm going to say on philosophy of use, dudes. How you liking it? Oh my gosh, it's going to be fun. Next one, innovation, design, weight, size, ergonomics, blah, 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 all that stuff. And there's honestly a lot to talk about. And as we do it, perhaps we will compare and contrast against some pretty solid competition on the FNAR. And one, again, is the M1A. Great battle-proven rifle. I say battle-proven because it's basically a semi-automatic M14, just like I said in the review. Then we have the DPMS LR308, reviewed here in GMP. We have the stablemate to the FNAR, the 17S. That's another one. And then a slew of other rifles that honestly are going to be well out of the price range and value quotient of the FNAR, like the Reaper, the Colts. The Colt might be closer to it in price, so maybe we'll draw upon that. Design, materials, and quality. This is not a military-based rifle like the M1A. The M1A was based on the M14, which was based on the M1 Garand. A very battle-proven rifle. So is the M14 for that matter. The only downside is in full auto it sucked, not controllable. But in semi-auto, it was always favored by the troops, hard-hitting, all the stuff we said in POU.
Beautiful sound.
Same caliber, obviously. But the FNAR is not based on a military rifle. It's actually based on a sporting rifle, the Browning BAR. A John Moses Browning design. It is a superb sporting rifle. The FNAR is an update to that for a tactical application. The reason I bring that out is, and I hear no one talking about this, is because it might drive to whether it will fit your philosophy of use. Now, in my shooting, I will say, I'm kind of jumping ahead to durability and all that other stuff. In my shooting, I saw no failures whatsoever on this gun. Oh, I take that back. There was one bobble to feed. I think I'll try to find that. Other than that, pretty stellar. But it's still based on a sporting rifle. You know, can it take thousands and thousands of rounds over time? I don't know. I don't have the time or the money to find out. You know, go ask the owl. How many licks does it take to get to the center of the Tootsie Pop? I don't know. I don't know. All things point up. There are some key differences between this and the BAR. Most obvious is the application of an extended magazine. The receiver is actually made of aluminum. I would prefer that over steel because otherwise you're carrying all that weight. Again, I don't want to do that. Pistol grip, Picatinny rails up front, Picatinny rails on the top. There are some differences. Speaking of which, I guess I ought to start the play-by-play on the FNAR. I want to start back here again. One of the awesome things about this gun, in contrast to the Browning BAR, the sporting rifle, and by the way, don't be confused about like the World War II Browning BAR that you see in the video games, you've seen in the movies. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the sporting version, Browning automatic rifle. This one is fully adjustable to the user. You're going to have 3 options for butt pad, three options for comb. You'll actually have some adjustments here between the stock if you want to change the rise as well. I have never seen a gun at this price point have the adjustability as the FNAR. None. It's absolutely excellent in that capability. I think I didn't change the butt pad out at all. They include the medium-sized one, and you can adjust this, I think, from a 1/2 inch to 1 inch. I'm just talking the butt pad. And I think I left the regular comb on it as well. You can jump in the manual. It's pretty easy to swap out. That is really cool. And it blows away this gun. No, hands down. Because one of the issues you're going to have with your M1A when you scope it is you just don't have a good cheek weld. You have a chin weld. You can tape on, you know, the padding that I did on the M1A Scout Squad that we ran in Operation Red Skies, right? There are some aftermarket ones you can do, but nevertheless, it's not a clean and elegant system. This is. You can get your face, your eyeballs right in line with your scope and mount your scope low. Those are some really good ergos. Ballistically speaking, I think it's better too. You're keeping that scope low like I've talked about a lot. I love the stock on it. And actually, I like the pistol grip on the FNAR as well. FNAR. I like FNAR. The downside is you can't swap it out. You're stuck with it. That being said, I think it's pretty squared away. It's kind of AR-15-ish, and it wears the perfect FN checkering, molded in checkering. Man, does FN know how to do that. They just do such a good job on it. There it is on the forend again. We saw it on the FN SLP. Go to War Shotgun, reviewed here in TMP. What a squared away company this is. Good pistol grip. I like it. And there's no storage in it. I never use that anyhow. Do you? Well, nothing fancy. I like carrying small parts around. Well, when's the last time you ever used it? Out of your pistol grip. Extra weight, if you ask me. Great pistol grip. No, it's not swappable. And looking at the receiver, I didn't try this, but perhaps it would fit a Browning sporting rifle stock if you got tired of this one. If you wanted to put on a conventional stock, which I like those too, maybe you could. I'm thinking you probably could. There's probably a viewer that's going to find this and say, yep, I did it. It rocks. On to the trigger. Whoa, is it a good trigger? Good trigger, guys. 4 1/4 pounds is what mine pulls at. There is a little bit of creep in it. It is 2-stage in nature, the FNAR trigger. I wouldn't change anything about it. The trigger guard is big enough. It's slanted on the front, if that matters for anything. Nope. A cross bolt safety. One of the upsides is a beautiful trigger on the FNAR. I don't think a lot of guys complain about it. And I surely don't. I just love it. Receiver there, you can see the cross pins. We'll talk about field strip here. It is nightmarish. Not a fully ambidextrous design, the FNAR. So if you're a lefty, I don't know if it's a great choice. You know, you have an ambidextrous magazine release, which, by the way, look at that checkered button, guys. Wow, nice and big, easy to find. It's gated, so you won't inadvertently release it, nor did we. In the mountains there, it didn't happen. There's release on the right side. And there's your slide release lever, or your bolt release lever, I should say, right here. You probably want to use that with your left hand, Mr. Righty, because it's not ergonomic to use it like this. So you're shooting the gun. Can you reach up and do it? No, you can't. But you can come over here, and this is a training issue. Maybe you come over here like that to release your magazine. You release it with your thumb, and then you put a new magazine in, and then while you're here, you crank it down like that. And my son, Tactical Doodle, is kind of the one that was talking about that. Give him full credit for that technique. That's perhaps how you want to do it. Picatinny rail, 1913 standard. Good and bad on this. I'm going to hit the bad first. One, there were some reports that 2011 batches at FNARs had crooked rails on them, and I believe them. That for whatever reason, these guns left the factory with crooked rails, and that's dicked. Sorry. It is. FN, I love you, but man, come on, man. QC those suckers. Don't let them leave. From what I know, FN has outstanding customer service. If you were to get one of these rifles, send it in. They will fix it. I don't know if it's an easy fix for them because it is drilled and tapped into that receiver. I'm not sure how they would correct it or just put a new receiver on. Not sure. This one is squared away. Left to right, no issues whatsoever. But there is another issue, and it is somewhat serious in nature. If you decide to long range your FNAR as the pirates, ignore your warning calls. Okay? And by the way, I'm laughing, but that would not be a funny thing. I just think it's funny when the good guys win. I love it. I relish it. The Picatinny rail on this does not have MOA built in it. In fact, it has just the opposite. Yeah. I think it's not just flat, but it's tilted the wrong way. The reason I know this is because I mounted several scopes. This is a second scope I mounted, maybe the third, I forget, trying to get it ready for long range in the Nutnfancy project, because this gun shot at 600 yards. In fact, most of our shooting was practical on steel. Long range, 300 to 600 yards. By the way, it performed awesome. But not before I squared away the whole optic setup. Not easy to do, because since that rail is tilted the wrong way, I worked with shimming it. Can I shim it? Well, that didn't work very well on a Picatinny rail. Looked into options. Well, maybe I can get some rings that are, MOA rings. Well, you're going to have to get a single piece mount if you're going to get MOA built in. Unless you guys know that. And I looked around. I was like, well, what mounts have the MOA built in? Well, there's a couple. But I needed a lot. I didn't need just 15. I needed 20 MOA. So, long story long, nice. I had to go with a Night Force. What do they call this thing? A Unimount. It's a 20 MOA mount, and it is fabulous. But it's also fabulously expensive. We had to spend $250 on this mount alone, and that's what enabled us to shoot at 600 yards. Well, nothing fancy, you have a 1-inch tube on there. I know, I'm talking about the scope. But I had a 30 mil on here before, and it did not have enough elevation adjustment before I put the mount on. You dig? So we're talking, this mount is what made this rifle a long-range performer. You need the mount. What I'd prefer to see is that FN, if you're watching this, put some MOA in that thing. It should be standard 15, 20 MOA, and really quality control that thing, so guys don't have to go out and spend another $250. Currently, one of the very few options, perhaps the only option, to square this gun away. Yeah. Incidentally, this is a fabulous high-value scope. I highly recommend it. It is the Burris Full Field 2 6.5 to 20 by 50, 19 ounces, $590, 3.1 to 3.6 inches of eye relief, 30 inches of adjustment at 100 yards, which with this mount is enough, out to 800. Shooting the loads we shot, which incidentally on steel were just standard 147s. Not the 168s or something cosmic like that. Cosmically expensive. I love this scope. It's the same one we ran on, let's see, it's a Scout Squad, right?
Beautiful.
Same one. It's running the same glass. We shot it at night. Really excellent night performance as well. And there are a couple downsides. One, you have a twist eyepiece. Some would think that's an advantage, but if you put, those scope covers on there, which, by the way, I hate. Those Butler Creek are just crap. I don't even run them anymore. But they're going to spin around. I just leave them off. Let my glass get dirty, clean it as appropriate, and then here's your objective adjustment. So it's not a side objective adjustment. So those are a few downsides. But for the price, try to touch it, especially in the cool OD. Design, materials, and quality. I talked about the rail. It is a little bit of a downside. That takes us to the barrel, which I don't see any downsides at all. This barrel rocks. This, by the way, is a light contoured 20-inch barrel. This FNAR, and I don't think they make this particular one now. Once upon a time, they made a heavy contour 20 and they made a light contour 20. I was looking at the heavy barrel. I was like, well, should we go with the heavy barrel? And you know me, firepower versus mobility. I was like, what's that weight do for me? Not much. I honestly, this supposedly light contoured barrel is actually quite heavy. I think it's like 0.77 inches at the muzzle end. I don't need a heavy profile. No way. But sadly, they discontinued this particular make. I might be wrong on that, but if you go to their website, they're only going to list two right now. They're going to list an FNAR standard, and that's a 16-inch tube barrel. No, I generally don't like 16-inch barrels on my sappers. I'd rather have a 20. 20's ideal. Less blast, more velocity. Okay? The other one they're going to list is an FNAR Heavy, a 20-inch barrel, and I think it's the heavier profile version of this. Still a great gun, but it's going to be heavier because of that. That one I think, and I haven't weighed that one personally because we don't have it, but 9 pounds 11 ounces is factory listed weight. This one, speaking of weight, 11 pounds 4 ounces with the magazine, no sling, as you see here, with a full field scope 6.5 to 20. So the go to war weight without the sling, or light for that matter, or bipod, 10 pounds 4 ounces. The FNAR Heavy, I could be off on that weight. Whatever. I do know this. It's going to be lighter than the heavy barrel. Oh, here we go. Light contour, 9 pounds. Finally found it. So you're going to basically save 11, 12 ounces by going with a light contour. I highly recommend that. It is a chrome-lined, hammer-forged barrel, just like FN does on a lot of their rifles. And it is excellent. It is durable. I think FN touts it lasting 10,000 rounds. These are the same folks that put the M249 together, all types of machine gun experience. They kind of know a thing about barrels, and by the way, they make it themselves. As far as I know, this gun is U.S. produced. The barrel is U.S. produced. There might be some components made in Belgium. I didn't really research it. Yeah, but great job on the barrel. It is Parkerized, as you can see. That makes it rust proof. It's fluted. It will cool a little bit faster. It lightens it up a little bit. Not a lot. It is counter board right here for the crown to protect it. And that takes us to the fore end. Now, when we're talking about weight, if you guys go back to my previous reviews, what would you say the RTR weight that is ready to run, ready to fight, sapper weight is normally? I'm talking full up. What would you guess? How about the M1A loaded in the background, sitting right there? What would you think? 10 pounds 1 ounces is that weight, which is actually pretty decent. I think without it having anything on it, the loaded with the synthetic stock, not the wood, is 9.3 pounds. So about the same weight as this. They're really comparable, and that's why I have that loaded on the table by way of reference. And actually, this one is wearing the Cava mount. That is an awesome low mount. Relatively new for the M1A, M14, and that is a Burris MTAC scope, 30mm tube, MRAD dials. Reticle for that matter. Great scope. Weight-wise, though, 10 pounds 1 ounce. That's actually pretty light for a sapper. If you remember my DPMS LR 308 review, that one that has the Daniel Defense light rail on it, 20-inch barrel, same scope, I think, as this one.
Little bit.
11 pounds 14 ounces.
You're still hitting dead.
And the difference in weight is because we have that rail up here, the metal rail. You don't have that with the FNAR, and that's my whole point in bringing this up, is that it's actually relatively light for what you're getting. A 20-inch sapper. Naked, we'll call it 9 pounds for the light contour. Heavy contour, 20-inch barrel, 9 pounds 11 ounces. That's light. And the good thing is you're not really giving up a lot. Now, I don't think this is free floated, but you do get, again, that awesome checkering, a polymer fore end, and they were smart enough to include 3 pick rails on you. Aluminum variety, 7000 series aluminum. So you can run your bipod, your lights, and other accessories you need. That's excellent, and it's relatively lightweight. Also excellent, since we're talking about design and materials, I guess I'll cover it now, is the firepower.
Oh, totally.
On par with that bad boy in the background, the M1A. 20 rounds. I mentioned the hunting philosophy of use. They do have 5-round magazines for the FNAR available. They also have 10s, and they have this preferred 20-rounder, if it's legal where you live. And I hope it stays legal where you live. Kind of like in the US. I think there will be a movement to get rid of all of these normal capacity magazines. I don't call them high capacity. They're normal capacity magazines. There's a story of good and bad on the FNAR magazine. I want to cover the bad first. One, it is darn heavy. 12.6 ounces for this sucker. What? Yeah, that is heavy. The reason why is that it has a pinned, that's right, pinned cast metal floor plate. That's going to make it extremely tough if you drop it on concrete, whatever. It's probably not going to break. We did test that a little bit, not much. And I think it protrudes all the way into the magazine body. I did not disassemble it, and you can see how it's pinned to the bottom. I'm talking, I guess, negative stuff here. So it is sturdy, but it's also very heavy at 12.6 ounces. And as you can see, the next negative thing I'm going to say about it is that you can't take it apart. I know, that sucks. I'm bummed about that. I mean, why did they put it together the way they did? M1A magazine is a very squared away magazine, very proven, and it's actually lighter. 8.2 ounces for an M1A M14 magazine, and that's a GI one. I think BRW is that one riding in there right now. You can disassemble it. It's just as tough as this one, just as reliable. Yeah, so that's not great. Now for the good things. Oh, one more bad thing. They're somewhat hard to find, and they're expensive. Expect to find about, I don't know, these suckers selling for around $55 if you can find them. So that, to me, is expensive. They're more expensive than the 17S magazine. That is Scar Heavy. Yeah, told you I was going to keep it real. There you go. When you get them, though, you will find the following. They are reliable. And that's saying something, because a lot of magazines for sappers aren't. And there have been issues, like in the DPMS system. There's been reports of all kinds of magazine probs. I think the RFB by Keltec has had issues with magazines. The magazine is a critical part of your weapon system, and if it's not reliable, what's the use? I don't care what the ergonomics are, how accurate it is, how awesome it is. Well, what's the point? This is reliable, and it's also easy to load. So I guess when it comes right down to it, the magazines are good overall. Just be advised of the other stuff I talked about. By the way, I forgot to mention this, and it is kind of a negative thing on the FNAR. There is no barrel threading. To me, that's kind of a big deal. One, because I would like the option of attaching a suppressor. And two, and this is probably more significant for more users, is we don't have an option as it comes from the factory to attach a muzzle brake or a comp. And the gun does need it. It is smooth and fast. I got to tell you, it's very smooth and it's fast. But however, there is a push, and you do have muzzle rise on any 308 gun that doesn't have a comp. And I did notice it with this. Is it a huge deal? No, it's not. It's totally livable. You can work it. You'll see in the footage that I'm showing you guys. It shoots well. I would like a comp. You can have it sent to a gunsmith. There are services that you can research and find that will do it. But the plot thickens, as I often say, and the plot goes something like this. This is a short stroke gas system. The piston moves about three quarters of an inch to actuate the bolt. No, it's not direct gas impingement. It's a piston gun. I think it's sensitive to attachment of muzzle brake or muzzle devices, and you're going to have your gunsmith kind of know about the FNAR. So he attaches it. He needs to test fire it. Maybe he makes some adjustments inside. Make sure the gun's reliable. I suspect that's why it doesn't come that way from the factory. Not that they couldn't do it, but it's a cost-saving thing. I suspect. I don't know that totally. To me, it's still kind of a miss. It should be, well, here you go, M1A right here. Threaded. You can put a Vortex, I don't know, what other muzzle device in there. I just like running the regular M1A, National Match flash suppressor on there. That works for me. But you have options with an M1A. Less so with this. Maybe one day we'll thread an FNAR here in TNB and show you how it goes. Design, materials, and quality. I think I've talked about most of the stuff. I may come back to it. I want to go on to accuracy. First off, the barrel, I think I forgot to tell you, a 1 in 12 twist. I think it's suited better for heavier loads. When I researched after we were done testing, I was like, well, I wonder if our results coincide with other people's results. And I would say, yes, they do. Some people said, well, with the FNAR that we have, when we run like a 175 load in it, it seems like it shoots well. I'll just throw that out there as a little tiny data point. 1 in 12 twist. The M1A, incidentally, is a 1 in 11 twist. Here we go. I just got a couple targets to show you because sometimes I get out of control of all this stuff. This is in, let's see, August. Whoa, maybe I have been testing it for a while. Windy, by the way, and this is in the desert off that cheesy polymer table. PMC shooting into 3 1/4 inches. Very unimpressive. some side-end groups right there. 168 match Ultra Max at 102 yards. This is not 100. For whatever reason, I didn't want to walk all the way down and reset it to 100. 0.85 inches. That is outstanding in my book. It's sub-MOA out of a Sapper. Semi-automatic precision rifle. Take that, pirates. PMC shooting into 1.25 inches by yours truly. That is outstanding with ball ammo. I forgot to write down what match load this was, but it was 168 BTHP, 1.9 inches. Not super impressive. Not super. 3 rounds of Hunting Shack AMAX 7.62. And by the way, like I said, this is a 7.62 51 chambering, not a 308, FYI. 0.65 inches. That's 2 rounds sitting right there, bros. Awesome. American Eagle 150 grain FMJ shooting into 1.4 inches. That's excellent in my book. Excellent. Off of less expensive, they're always expensive and nowadays hard to find, FMJs. HSM AMAX making
really
another
good.
presentation at 1.9 inches.
So this load goes well.
I expect more out of that load. And that's a load, by the way, that I've not seen perform very well out of a lot of different guns. And in fact, this is probably the best gun it's shot out of, like this. 1.15 inch group. That is a 7.62 load. Here's PMC embarrassing itself and me at the same time. 2.8 inches. Wah, wah. Federal XM80. Not shooting as good as the XM762 used to. We had a flyer there. What you can take away from this is the gun will shoot like this with the loads it likes. You will get easily under an MOA out of your FNAR. And that will pretty much coincide with what most people's experience is with this fine Sapper. And just by way of reference, let's turn into the bolt gun and see how it did. This is the FNTSR, recently reviewed. I'm going to post these together actually. 168 grain Ultramax. So it's shooting about the same out of a bolt gun. So what they say about this gun is pretty true. It's basically a semi-automatic bolt gun. It has that same level of precision. TSR shot that 0.85 inch group. It is more accurate. I mean, look at that. 0.4 inch out of 180 grain fusion. I'll tell you this, I didn't do more paper with this, at least that I kept. Lost some. Wow. If you guys want me to shoot a couple more, like some 168 gold medal match out of this, maybe some of these fusion loads, if you guys watch the video and you're interested, I'll go do that. And we'll post that separately and we'll see if we can get a half-inch group out of it. I can't promise you that we will. I will promise you this. I'll be honest and I'll just tell you how it played. I suspect it's going to be just like the results I just showed you right there. That is to say it's going to be about 1 MOA, maybe just a little bit under an MOA. If I messed around and hand-loaded, got better loads, we could probably crank that down. There's a dude I found saying he got a 4-inch group at 600 yards out of his FNAR. I'm not saying that's impossible, but I'd like to see it. Because I was shooting steel, where most of our practical accuracy testing took place, and 600 yards is a long shot. It's very unforgiving. And to group 4 inches is impressive. Can be done, but man, I'd like to see it. I mean, that's outstanding accuracy out of a Sapper. Totally. But like I said, lots and lots of reports of sub-MOA shooting out of the accuracy. The accuracy I will declare as outstanding. What is not outstanding, however, is the freaking field strip on this gun. And there's no way in heck I'm going to show you right now. There's no way, because it is a freaking nightmare. Here's the manual, which overall is pretty good. However, it lacks a parts schematic page. Come on, FN. Every catalog should have that. For no reason, if you put stuff together wrong, you're wondering how the orientation of parts goes. You ever been there? Yeah, I have. Go to the schematic. You go, oh, that's the way that part's orientated. Or if you break one, you know, then you can jump in there and do the reorder. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this, but this is disassembly, and it is involved. I highlighted it, and I did do it myself. Didn't film it because I didn't want to. Remove the magazine block, remove the left action bar, remove the right action bar, releasing the bolt lock, spring from the bolt lock. Whew. Book in hand is how I did it, step by step. And then putting it back together, follow their instructions as well. Is it like nightmarish? Kind of. It's not horrible. It took me a little bit. If you were to do it frequently, just like anything, you'd get good at it. How often do you need to do it, Nutnfancy? I would say not too often.
That hit?
That was a hit.
I'll tell you this, though. If I went to one of those competitions and I put 500 rounds down the pipe, I would come back and field strip it and lubricate it with a nice viscous lubricant like Slip 2000 or something like that. Inappropriate places. Look for shiny metal. Same crap I always say. Yeah, field strip sucks. The barrel's going to clean very easily, though. It's chrome lined. It's going to last a long time, too. That takes us to accessories in this Nutnfancy tabletop on the pirate rifle, the FNAR. I should say anti-pirate rifle. Like I said, BAR stuff may fit. I'm talking the stock. You already have adjustments to your butt stock, your comb. There's not a lot you'll need. You will need magazines. It's going to be a cost, more so than M1A, more so than the DPMS. They are more expensive, so sorry, it is what it is. Muzzle devices, you can't do that because you don't have any threading there. I would like to add threading and actually tune it for reliability, and that way I have suppressor capability and compensator capability. Sling studs are included. I forgot to mention that. There's one right there, and there's another one on the buttstock. That is most excellent, I say. What else? They do have a black hard case that comes with a rifle. I think when you put a scope on it, it's going to be too small. I just run the soft cases anyhow. I don't use that. And you do have the 3 rails up front, so you can attach your lights, your bipods, other side-mounted accessories. One thing I forgot to mention, talking about accessories on the Picatinny rail, is it is rather long. And that could be a bad thing when you start getting that really low. By the way, this is a Night Force Unimount 1.125 inch in height. You can get some interference with your scope bell. You can see I worked it just so. The forward and back just so it works out fine. But the rail's rather long. Maybe a downside, maybe an upside, because if you're running a piggyback optic, maybe night vision or a magnifier, you might have enough rail space. I love the Picatinny rail option. I wouldn't do anything with the trigger. Talking about the accessories. Nothing. It's fine the way it is. That takes us to value. This is where the FNAR pirate rifle really shines. About $1,000. And actually back in I think 2010, FN was offering a rebate. I think it was running like $150. That is amazing value for a lot of reasons. One, the accuracy, which we've just established. Two, the ergonomics. Okay, that it is suitable to you as a shooter, whoever you are. You can adapt it. Where do you see that? You sure don't see it in this gun. You might see it in the DPMS because it's AR-15 ergos, which I'm a huge fan of. They rock. You can see it there. For the money also, you get chrome-lined, cold hammer forged barrel. That's huge value. You get a Picatinny rail up front and on top. More value. The only downside to the value is the magazines, really. You know, $55, maybe you score them for 50, 60 bucks. Hard to find. But value is smoking. It's actually better than the M1A. Because with the M1A, if you're going to put glass on it, which I recommend, to get the maximum accuracy out of the thing, and M1As can be very accurate, established in the tabletop review I did. I showed you all the evidence of that. You're going to have to spend some money on a mount. You can go 4th gen Springfield Armory, which is good. It's kind of goofy looking. Or you can go with something like the Cabin. But that's going to add cost. This comes with it.
That's a hit too, wasn't it?
Kind of like an AR-15. So we're saving money there. Other 308 sappers are going to be a lot more money, including perhaps DPMS. Maybe there's some Colt options, the Reaper options. All of those are going to be mucho más dinero, if you know what I'm saying. I'll declare value is actually superb for this gun. And that takes us to the end of the review. What? Already, Nutnfancy? Yeah, already. We've covered a lot of ground, dudes. How's this for a summary, though, for your anti-pirate rifle? First, the cons. I've covered them in depth. What, you don't have threading, you don't have a muzzle brake. The magazine expense is, I don't know, something you need to think about. Does it have ultimate long-term reliability? One of the things I really love, by the way, about the M1A series is because it does inherit that combat record. You don't have that with this gun. And by the way, I don't know if I hit on reliability hard enough, durability. I am kind of doing it here. It was very good during our testing in the rounds we shot. We did have that one bobble, but also so did M1As. I've shot with M1As and they've had a bobble. Operation Red Skies, we had a failure to strip off a round. We've had the FN17S have bobbles, multiple in the Nutnfancy project. The RFB's done the same thing. So basically every 308 rifle, sapper variety that I've shot has bobbles. What I'm driving at here though is, does it have long-term combat reliability of thousands of rounds? I don't have the answer for you. I don't have the resources or actually the interest, to be honest, to find out. But maybe someone who watches this video will do it after thousands of rounds and go broke and put his house up for mortgage for doing it. The Picatinny rail is a downside for this. Like I said, there's no MOA built into it. There have been reports, I think credible reports, about how it was attached crooked. I think that has been corrected. If this sample, circa 2012, is any indication. But you're going to need some serious MOA. I say at least 20 to push this thing out 600 or beyond, especially with a 1-inch tube. Your mileage may vary. The mags are heavier. Field strip sucks big time. You can't disassemble the mags. Those are the cons. I think the pros outweigh it, and actually that's why it's being declared as a Hall of Famer here. One is the incredible value. We just talked about that. Just talked about it. The great accuracy. It is sub-MOA with right ammo, careful shooting if your fundamentals are squared away. The trigger is excellent. The ergonomics are excellent. It's adaptable to you as a shooter. It is reliable. Very reliable from our shooting, even in some harsh weather conditions like driving snow. We tested this gun. It wasn't like ultra cold that day, but we did have some driving snow when we shot this sucker. I forgot to mention this, by the way, and that is easy magazine insertion, where we have to rock the magazine for the M1A. Not so much for the FNAR. It goes straight in and it's pretty fast. You have Picatinny side mounts on it. On actually what is ultimately a light front end. It's not metal, it's polymer. Pretty darn light. Great job with the Picatinny rails. It's fun to shoot and it's fast and smooth. Very smooth. Yes, we have a little bit of muzzle rise. We have a little bit of push. I talked about that stuff. But that's about it. I think the pros hugely outweigh the cons on the FNAR rifle. I would not hesitate at all putting this into a pirate roll. An anti-pirate roll. It's a hard-hitting sapper. Very accurate. Fun to shoot. I love the gun. It is a viable option, and for around $1,000, try to go beat it. Have fun. That's been the Nutnfancy review.
Right on,
Sail
man.
safely on the 7 seas.
That's pretty impressive.
Out.